Delivery boys. What is the weirdest delivery you ever did? I was delivering a pizza, and after I knocked on the door, I heard a faraway voice yell, "Coming!" So I waited. After about a minute, I hear the same voice a little closer yell, "Almost there! Just wait!" This continues for several minutes, with the voice coming closer and closer, until the person finally reaches the door and opens it. I'm expecting to see someone at eye level. However, instead, I'm greeted by a smiling person on the floor who had no legs and dragged themselves across the house to answer the door. I offered to put the pizza inside for them in the kitchen, and they were pretty appreciative. So I delivered like 5 pizzas to this guy once. I had to ring the doorbell several times before he came to the door. When he got there, he didn't really say anything except to come on in real quick. Now, you aren't supposed to go in people's houses, but I decided who cares? I can defend myself. I get inside this guy's huge house, and it's full of weird crap. There was a full suit of armour right by the door, and somewhere he had this Halloween CD playing creepy, deep-voiced laughs. While he's searching for his wallet, the biggest dog I've ever seen walks up to me and falls at my feet, pushing me over. So I'm sitting next to a suit of armour, petting this huge-ass dog, waiting for this middle-aged man to pay me. He gave me a $40 tip. Okay, so what I want to know is why did this guy order 5 pizzas? Also, I would never go into someone's house if I was a delivery girl. I feel like that's just something we all know not to do. Plus, the armour and the creepy laughing done it for me. I would have been gone. Out of there. Actually, no, wait, he did get a $40 tip at the end of it. Good on the guy, actually. This guy who answered the door looked like he'd just seen a ghost and was a little jittery, so I'm pretty sure he was on some kind of drugs. Anyways, he hands me a $10 for a $15 bill and tries to go back inside really quick. I realise that he didn't hand me enough money, so I knock on the door and tell the guy he still owed me like $5. So he starts patting his pockets and finally pulls his hand out to as if to give me more money, but has nothing in his hand. He extended his hand to give me this imaginary money and was visually surprised when I wasn't fooled by his trickery. The guy does this 2 or 3 more times before having me call my manager to attempt to use his card to pay, even though I'm sure he knew it wouldn't work. At this point, he goes back inside because he just heard his roommate come in and is going to borrow money from him. So I wait, and I wait until I knock again. The guy cracks the door, sees it's me, and closes the door again really quick like he was surprised I didn't go away. Eventually, after about 10 minutes of annoyance and feeling like I might get stabbed, I told the guy I either needed money or the food, which he reluctantly gave back. All in all, a very strange experience. A man answered the door in a robe. The robe was closed, but I guess he wasn't wearing underwear because as we were exchanging money, a stream of pee starts to fall between his legs and right onto his own carpet. He doesn't seem to notice, or just doesn't care. I take a big step back out of the splash zone, and he just keeps making small talk while it's happening. Pulled up to this easily 1.5 to 2 mil house. Lady opens the door, and as she's signing the receipt, I hear, "Bethany, Willis is in the dog food again." This is deep in Louisiana, so this is all in a typical southern drawl. I look behind her and see a man chasing a full-grown pot-belly pig wearing an LSU jersey away from what I assume is the dog food area. Willis returned to the area shortly after. Delivered 30 pizzas to an Amish family, about a 35-minute drive. The entire family met me outside to grab a pizza. I took the rest in and followed them inside to their dining table. The elder of the family gestured to me to sit down with them, and he pointed to the one open seat. I realised that they saved me a seat to eat with them. I didn't know how much about the Amish back then, and I wasn't sure how rude it would be to say that I'm working and I couldn't/shouldn't. I was also thinking, on the other hand, they could have killed me. Remember, I wasn't an educated 16-year-old, so I sat down and ate 2 slices of pepperoni pizza with them. I found the girl across the table to be very attractive. They said a prayer of some sort and didn't talk much after that. Just asked my name and how thankful they were for me to drive all that way. I finally had to get back to work. They didn't tip, which was fine. I enjoyed the time with them. This was in my first month of delivering pizzas. I pull up to a 4-plex, 2 floors, 2 apartments per floor, and knock on the correct door. After a minute, an old scruffy Russian-sounding guy answers the door and says, "How much?" I told him the total, and he walks off to get money. I look over to my right and can see the top of his wife's head poking over the back of a recliner. She is gabbing away with a friend on the phone, going on and on. After a minute or 2 of listening to her, wondering what is taking this guy so long, I hear a change jar being emptied on the counter. This guy seriously is about to pay me with all change and doesn't even have it counted. Crap. I sighed hard, but was thankful we were slow at the time, so I wouldn't really miss out on any money waiting for this guy. So here I am, listening to this old lady blabbing on, not understanding pretty much anything she's saying, while I can hear the old man scooting change around as he counts it. Finally, after a solid 5+ minutes of standing there, the man walks out and says something to his wife in a foreign language. She rotates the chair around so I can clearly see her. And there is no phone. I immediately stuck my head inside looking for a phone. I can see the table by the chair is empty, and there's nothing in her hands, on her lap, on the floor. I looked everywhere for this phone. There wasn't one. She was literally talking to herself/the wall. I started going crazy in my head, wondering what was going on. She starts talking to the air again and turns her chair back towards the wall. The guy goes and grabs the money and hands me a bag. It was filled with nickels and dimes. There was not one quarter, or silver dollar, or anything. I just looked at him, bewildered, then to her, mouth slightly agape, wondering what was happening. "Is 20 cents for you?" I said nothing. I turned around with my bag of change and walked back to my car. The whole thing took about 15 minutes, most of which was spent with me standing in a wide open door in the middle of summer, listening to a crazy old lady talk to the wall. Apologies for my Russian accent, guys. I'm terrible at accents. But anyway, first things first. Why doesn't this guy have the money ready for when the food arrives? This just bugs me. That doesn't make any sense. Also, did it scare anyone else when we found out the lady wasn't actually on the phone? It felt like something out of a horror movie. It gave me chills. Like, who is she talking to? Was delivering to a neighbourhood that typically was kind of sketch, so I always expected no tip, or a small one. I rolled up to this lady's house, and she said something along the lines of, "I don't have the money, and my husband will be here in 20 minutes with some cash." It was the last delivery of the night, so I wasn't worried about taking too long. And then she opened up her garage door. There was a pool table and fridge and TV in there, and she gave me a beer and we played pool until her husband came and gave me the money, along with a $20 tip. One of the better nights working that job. Strangest I had was a girl who put on her special instructions, "Please tell me I'm pretty." I did. She smiled, said, "Thanks," closed the door, and I never saw her again. Maybe one day I'll get lucky. I know of a kid who was a drug addict that had pizza delivered to his house. Once he heard the doorbell, he walked out his back door with a ski mask on and robbed the delivery driver in front of his own home. After that, he walked back around the home and opened the front door from inside, pretending to be surprised that the guy was robbed. Idiot ended up getting arrested, but it was the worst plan ever hatched by someone I knew. Okay, I'm going to have to disagree with this one actually. I think that plan's actually really clever. Is that just me? I feel like, depending on the person obviously, you could actually get away with that. Or maybe I'm being an idiot now, I don't know. I had a delivery that needed to be signed for, and nobody answered the door when I knocked. I went to my car to write a notice slip when a woman starts waving me up and pointing to the back of the house. So, I walk back and she isn't there. In fact, nobody's there, so I go knock on the back sliding door. A guy in his 60s weighing at least 300 lbs answers and is wearing nothing but a small Alf shirt. He's kind of pulling the front down to cover his balls, but his dogs were barking and he spun around and bent down in their little faces, yelling at them. Butthole right in my face. Then he turns back to me and I ask him to sign for his package. He lets go of his shirt, which bounces up to his belly button and lets his dong and balls fly free. I got the signature and race-walked back to the car to get the heck out of there. It was so uncomfortable. I once delivered pizza to what seemed like a gang house. I pulled up and there are all these intimidating dudes with tattoos and bandanas all wearing the same coloured clothes. I puckered up and felt my scrotum shrivel as I awkwardly shuffled past them with a bunch of pizzas to ring the doorbell. They were all staring me down and it felt like the longest walk ever. The person who ordered the pizza must have been the head honcho because he looked like the baddest of the bunch. The total was like $70 and he gave me a $100 bill and told me to keep the change. I bolted out of there and returned back to the pizza place on autopilot because I was so scared. This just happened yesterday. I was having a lady sign her CC slip when a naked toddler comes running from the backyard. Okay, cool. Sometimes kids get crazy. So what? Thing is, she had no idea whose kid it was. Just a random-ass naked baby running through like he owned the place. I was a delivery boy for an Asian restaurant for a while. Had a delivery down a sketchy, very bumpy road in the back of my small town near all these trailers. When they answered the door, there was a 50 to 60-year-old lady standing completely naked in front of me, as well as two men of the same age sitting on the couch with their dongs out. Again, completely naked. I obviously got out of there as fast as possible. I took her signature and nearly ran away. She yelled at me through the window, come inside with us. And I said, frick no, as I was walking away, and she proceeded to curse at me as I jogged back to my car. It's interesting what kind of people you meet. This one had to be a setup. They obviously knew they'd ordered food, so they must have purposely got naked for when the delivery guy arrived. That's the only reason I can think of. Otherwise, they are just absolute weirdos. Unless they all just really enjoy eating and sitting around naked all day. No idea. Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of this video and have a wonderful day. Literally my first day doing deliveries. Punch the address into my phone and arrive as quickly as possible. Neighbourhood is a bit shady, but I don't judge. Note on the door is really bad handwriting, but it says to knock because the doorbell is broken. Nothing unusual. Guy opens the door. Old, scruffy, skinny white guy. Says to come to the kitchen. That's where his cash is. At that moment, I realise I shouldn't enter a stranger's house, but I didn't really have an excuse ready. Company policy says no, or something. So next thing I know, I'm in his living room. That's what it should be anyways. But it's full of retail clothing racks, full of clothes, and a couple mannequins. Needless to say, I thought I was going to be murdered, but we get to the dimly lit kitchen where the money and a cat are on the counter. He shuffles through the cash, pays me an exact change, and just takes the pizza to another room. So I walked through the store to the front door and left. Now I always have an excuse ready. I worked for a company called Waiter. Basically, we were partnered with certain restaurants and we would deliver for them. It was my last drop of the night, and when I got to the door, something smelled rather musky. I knocked, and I waited a few moments till the door opened. There stood a man with a massive bong and stoned beyond belief. It took me a couple of minutes to explain who I was and why I was giving him his food. He was friendly as could be. He even offered to share his food and weed with me because I was such a sweet guy for coming all the way out here. Mid to late 50-year-old man comes to the door in an opened towel robe, wearing Spider-Man undies. I was a Chinese food delivery girl back in high school. This gentleman opened the door very casually and honestly. I didn't think much of his undies. What was really funny was from the other room, I hear what I assumed to be his wife call out, "Is that Chinese or pizza? Did I win?" The man saw the white plastic bag and sighed. "You won." As he was closing the door after giving a generous tip, all I could hear was a celebratory "woo" from the woman. I delivered pizzas for a few years in college. One of my deliveries to a hotel had a guy answer the door in nothing but boxers and a beanie. We trade money for pizza, and as I give him his change, I hear another guy yell, unseen, from behind the corner, "If he's cute, let him keep the rest." The guy at the door hands me back the change and smiles. I wasn't sure how to react, so I just turned and left. Okay. Can we just appreciate the fact that these people are so brave answering the door practically naked? To be fair, delivery drivers have seen me in some absolute states, but I'd never answer the door in my underwear. Is it just me? I love the confidence though. I was delivering pizza once in a pretty sketchy neighbourhood, and I came up to a gated apartment complex where I saw a dude waving me down. Sometimes customers in apartment complexes used to meet us outside if they knew their complex was complicated. So, I'm thinking, what a nice guy. Turns out, I was horribly wrong. I let this complete rando into my car who fricking reeks of liquor and cigarettes. I somehow get the words out. Hey man, is this your pizza? This dude is barely coherent and responds with, "No, I need a ride." And I'm just freaking out at this point, wondering when the weapon or threats were going to come out, and I nervously responded with, "Dude, I totally would, but I can't. I got pizzas to deliver. Look, check it out." He keeps asking, and I just keep repeating myself, saying if I wasn't working, I'd totally help him out. I'm going to get fired, etc. And after about 10 minutes, the dude stumbles out of my car and went on his way. So freaky. Lesson learned. Double check before letting drunk strangers in my car. Made one pizza delivery out in the sticks in the middle of nowhere. The driveway had one of those partial fences that was basically just a corner of fencing on either side of the driveway. And both sides of it had a "Beware of dog" sign on it. As I pulled up, I could have sworn I saw two glowing eyes at the end of the driveway in the darkness past the end of my headlights. I was thinking, dang, that's gotta be one big-ass dog. But that was that. Most of the large dogs I've known were cool, and I had to deliver the pizza either way. So, as I get out and go into the back seat to get the pizza bag, I hear what I can only describe as stampeding footsteps. I already had my hand on the bag, so I grabbed it and moved out of the way. I swear on my life, a full-grown goat jumped horns first into my back seat and just sat there like, "I'm going for a ride." I struggled pulling on his horns, timidly at first, then using a little more force. After about 10 minutes, I heard a loud, low voice say, "Hey, you seen my goat?" I told him it was in my back seat. This very large Native American guy used one hand and yanked this goat out of my car. He tipped me almost the full price of his check for my troubles. It was pretty strange. Guys, can we please just address the fact that this guy, bless him, waited 10 minutes for someone to get this goat out of his car? Like, 10 minutes is a long time to have a goat sat in the back of your car. Do you know what I mean? This one has to be the most random one yet. I was delivering a mobile order for Papa John's and it was really late. I was annoyed because I wanted to take a double to get more tips. When she answered the door, she was incredibly hot and was only wearing panties and a jacket with no zipper. Horrible design flaw in my opinion. She had to hold it closed to not expose herself, and she seemed very confused. I said, "Hello, Mrs. Sorry about the wait. Here's your pizza." And that was when she said, "Oh, she's not supposed to be home for another 4 hours." She could tell that I was wondering why her roommate would order a pizza 4 hours early, and she said, "My girlfriend." Then another incredibly attractive woman sits up from the couch in the living room completely naked and stretches. Her girlfriend knew that she was cheating on her and ordered her and her mistress a pizza as a passive-aggressive way to show that she knew. I had to deliver that kind of poison. I had her sign her girlfriend's credit card receipt so that we could both be rid of that situation, for the time being. The delivery itself wasn't too weird, but as I was walking back to my car, I see an old lady in a light blue bug with a hula girl in the windshield pass by. A few seconds later, she reverses all the way down the road, stops right behind my car, blocking the driveway, and stares at me. She pulls forward after about 30 seconds. She just wanted to establish her dominance over delivery drivers. I delivered a couple pizzas to this old couple who had friends over. She invited me in to put the pizza on the table, which isn't common, but I was okay with. I go in, and they make small talk. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice a big purple thing sitting on the TV, back when all TVs were CRT. It was a rubber dong. That's when I noticed they were everywhere. Counters, bookshelves, the coffee table. Literally everywhere. There had to be at least a dozen or so spread around the townhouse. They were a very nice, friendly group, and no one at any point addressed the dongs. They tipped well too, but it is stuck in my mind forever. This one's going to be stuck in my mind forever now as well. Like, why have they got the world's biggest dong collection? Someone please tell us, we're all dying to know. I knocked on the door and a couple voices told me to come inside. When I opened the door, there were weird cameras and lights pointing at me, and a man and a woman sitting on a couch across the room. They knew I was nervous and confused, and they asked me to bring the pizza over to them. I walked the pizza over, and the woman said, "You just walked through a ghost." They were fricking amateur ghost hunters looking for ghosts in a trailer. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos coming daily.